Just as The Economist predicted, Donald Trump is once again in the global spotlight. Trump is targeting Venezuela and threatening to do the same in Greenland. But what if these two moves are part of the same scheme? A master plan that leaves us right in the middle. As everyone knows, Donald Trump just ended Maduro's dictatorship. And while no one can deny the suffering of the Venezuelan people for decades, let's be honest, Trump isn't playing his cards solely out of empathy. Like any geopolitical actor, he's responding to an agenda. But the question is, what agenda? The press will tell you it's oil. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on the planet. But here's the detail no one mentions. The United States produces 13 million barrels per day. It is one of the largest producers on the planet. And it doesn't depend on Venezuelan crude to sustain itself. So why Venezuela? The United States isn't only interested in oil, diamonds, lithium, or other minerals. The United States is focused on Venezuela's water resources, including the Orinoco Basin. The answer was right in front of our eyes all along: water. This isn't just a theory. The UN has already warned that there isn't enough fresh water for everyone, and not just because we can see it. Water is essential for all industries, but especially for the one that defines the real power of the 21st century: artificial intelligence. More AI means more data centers. More data centers means more cooling, and that means millions of liters of fresh water every day. The United States wants to control the Orinoco River system, the jewel of fresh water in the Western Hemisphere. Now, consider that water scarcity is expected to begin between 2030 and 2040, and they conveniently control this key resource. Today, control of drinking water is more valuable than oil. Furthermore, Venezuela has a hydroelectric capacity of 15,000 megawatts, enough to power massive industrial operations and fossil fuels. Venezuela isn't about oil, it's about water. And this is bigger than it seems. You can verify these facts yourself. The Orinoco River discharges more than 1,100 cubic kilometers of fresh water per year. Major investment funds like BlackRock have been warning for years that water is one of the strategic resources of the 21st century. Not as an environmental statement, but as a business strategy. Larry Fink, BlackRock's CEO, publicly warned that water is becoming a central strategic asset for the 21st century. Awake. I must interrupt the video because what just happened is unprecedented. Recently, the government declassified millions of files in the case of, let's call him Jeffrey. The same cycle always repeats itself. A few doubt the circles of power, their satanic rituals, and the atrocities they commit. Those few are treated as madmen. Then time proves them right. These files expose the trafficking network in collaboration with high-ranking figures of world power. Rituals of the most ruthless kind and unimaginable things that cannot be mentioned on this platform, but that you can already imagine. This world is in the hands of Satan himself. But my interruption today is primarily to demonstrate that everything that happens in the world is preordained, and we will use Jeffrey's files to prove it. In this official document, we see how Jeffrey and this gentleman you already know discuss the idea of simulating a pandemic. Note that the email is from 2017. You know what happened 2 years later. We also see how he planned to clone and manipulate human genetics from the early stages of development. And so you can see that everything is prearranged. Look at this 2014 document. In it, we testify how Rochelle and Jeffrey set the stage for what is happening today in Ukraine. The crisis in Ukraine should provide many opportunities, the email reads. And who gets richer from this type of crisis? Well, the arms industry. Alex Karp and his collaborator Peter Thiel, founders of Palantir. See this email sent to Thiel, where Jeffrey presents himself as a representative of the Rothschild family and proposes investing in technology. You know that technology equals control. Everyone is involved, all the players on the world stage, and I hope that now he starts to believe it. The question is, why expose the rottenness of the world at this moment? A simple distraction. While they polarize your interests, they are setting the stage. And if the hidden agenda was always right in front of your eyes, the water. Keep watching. It's clear that this essential resource is playing a role that's as important as it is secretive. Because here's the part that's going to blow your mind. Did you know how much water artificial intelligence consumes? A single AI server like those used by ChatGPT, Google, or Microsoft can consume as much water as an entire city just for cooling. And this is already happening. Want a nearby example? Uruguay, 2023. Google installs a mega data center in the interior of the country. The government sold them all the water rights equivalent to the consumption of a city of 50,000 people. While the capital, Montevideo, was reacting to water shortages due to droughts. In 2024, the UN warned that by 2040, 5 billion people would be living in areas of severe water stress. But guess which place won't be in crisis? That's right, Greenland. And why is that if Greenland is just ice? Therein lies the key. The ice is melting. Greenland's ice sheet is melting at an accelerated rate of approximately 280 billion tons per year. By 2050, between 30 and 40% of the ice sheet will have retreated, exposing 650,000 kilometers of new land, equivalent to the territory of France. This land will be potentially arable and rich in previously inaccessible mineral resources. It's as if a country the size of France suddenly appeared, untouched and filled with fresh meltwater. They believe it's a coincidence that the United States has reinforced its presence in the Arctic for the past decade. Not just satellite bases, radars, airstrips, logistics, and control of polar space. Greenland offers something unique: meltwater, natural cooling, a low population, and new land. It's an AI paradise. Whoever controls Greenland controls the future of computing. But things get darker. The World Economic Forum has already categorized freshwater shortages as a global risk. The World Bank is preparing for water scarcity to reduce the GDP of several countries by up to 6%. And several experts warn that underground aquifers are being depleted faster than they are being replenished. Tech corporations that need water for AI make the following move. If governments can't sell water to prevent population uprisings, the optimal strategy would be to secure territories with high water availability and low population density before the resource becomes critical. Greenland meets both criteria. Accelerated melting, generating millions of liters of fresh water daily, and a minimal population incapable of organized resistance. And its owner, Denmark, can do nothing if the United States decides to take it. The second element would be controlling renewable energy sources for 24/7 operations, independent of fossil fuels. Venezuela has the third largest hydroelectric dam in the world, equivalent to 3 nuclear power plants. Venezuela and Greenland are key players in dominating the technological race. But wait, there's still one piece missing, something that will make everything make sense. Let's talk about what no one is reporting. In 2022, a Nature report warned that by 2030, water consumption in data centers will double or triple. So perhaps the plan is to take advantage of Greenland's water. It is possible that infrastructure is being built in Greenland to relocate data centers and AI operations when the global water crisis becomes critical. between 2030 and 2040. The pattern is clear. These are not isolated decisions, but rather a pattern preceding the water collapse. Greenland is concentrating water for a future ideal climate and low population. Venezuela is concentrating energy and water control. If technology corporations find themselves trapped in water-scarce regions, these territories will ensure complete continuity when water begins to run out. Let me paint you the whole picture. The real plan. Phase 1. Secure Venezuela already done. Total control of the Orinoco water system. Public justification. Liberate the Venezuelan people. Reality. Secure the energy supply. Phase 2. Pressure. Greenland. In progress. Denmark is weak and cannot withstand U.S. pressure. If Denmark rejects the United States will exert economic and military pressure. Meanwhile, they are building scientific bases that are actually intended to house a select population. Phase 3, the big relocation. When the water crisis reaches critical levels, the current data centers will collapse. Google, Microsoft, Meta, OpenAI need to relocate. Guess where? To a place with infinite water and a controllable climate. And, as it couldn't be more obvious, the United States has steadily expanded visa programs for AI engineers, energy experts, and climate scientists. And the program is expected to scale 300% by 2030. These are the ones selected to enter Greenland. AI engineers, corporate elite, military personnel, selected scientists, and their families. We are not on the list. Last year, Microsoft increased its water consumption by 34%. Google data centers consume 6 billion gallons a year. Meta consumes 813 million gallons a year. 95% of data centers use water. They all need too much water, to be exact. Now listen and analyze. In 1 year, Greenland's melting ice has generated 264 gigatons of fresh water. That's 264 billion tons of ice turning into fresh water. Greenland's population is 56,000 inhabitants on an island of 2.1 million square kilometers. You know what I mean. Last year, the approval rate for visas for exceptional talent in the United States was 94.6%. The professions that qualified for this visa were AI engineers, data scientists, machine learning researchers, and technology infrastructure experts. A total of 450,000 international students in STEM programs were approved and impacted by visa facilitation. 343,981 H-1B registrations for fiscal year 2026 alone. In summary, Greenland has 56,000 people, 2,000 square kilometers, and 264 billion tons of new fresh water every year. Microsoft, Google, and Meta are desperate for water. The United States invested in Arctic bases and approved 500,000 visas for AI engineers. The reality is that Trump isn't conquering. He's preparing. The plan would be perfect and would be happening right before our eyes. Wake up.